TikTok is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to step in on an emergency basis to block the law banning the popular platform in the U.S. unless its China-based parent company agrees to sell it. Company lawyers and China-based ByteDance urged the justices to act before the law's January 19th deadline. Before a meeting with the app's CEO, President-elect Donald Trump addressed the matter in a press conference.
To stop the ban on TikTok next month?
We'll take a look at TikTok. You know, I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points. And there are those that say that TikTok had something to do with that. Now, Joe Rogan did, and some of the other people that were recommended by my son Barron, he knew names. I said, who is that? Tell me, who's that? Dad, you gotta be kidding. I can't believe you don't know. And I did those interviews, and it was actually sort of cute. Do you want to know the truth? But we did them, and that had an impact. But TikTok had an impact, and so we're taking a look at it.
Content creators who rely on the platform for income and some of TikTok's more than 170 million users in the U.S. are expected to file a separate plea. Yael Ossowski from the Consumer Choice Center joined us to explain what happens next if the Supreme Court declines the request.
Earlier this month, TikTok took its case to an appeals court in Washington, D.C., and they lost. And they tried to appeal, they lost again, and now they're asking the U.S. Supreme Court, which is the ultimate authority in the land, to figure out whether by January 19th they would have to follow the law and sell their U.S. assets to some U.S.-based company. This is in line with the law that President Biden passed earlier this year. And if the Supreme Court does not decide to take up an appeal, that means that by January 19th, the company would have to sell its assets in the U.S. to a U.S. company. If that's not done, that means that any app store that's carrying the app will be fined exorbitant amount of money. Realistically, that means that TikTok would have to find some kind of US-based buyer by that date. I don't really see this going through the Supreme Court. They've tried to bring this up on First Amendment grounds, but that's not what the case has really been about. So we're going to probably see a lot of action about it, a lot of ink spilled. But fortunately, I think what's going to happen is a forced sale of TikTok US to some company based either in the United States or some other liberal democracy.